Time for our first game in charge of Brighton and Hove Albion. We've got a little bit of summer transfer work to get through as well. It's a very exciting day, but it could turn sour very quickly. Yes, hello and welcome to part 2 of Building Brighton with me, Daniel. We're taking over from Graham Potter, and today we start our Premier League season with matches against Southampton away from home and Burnley at home. Two of the more winnable games of the season. As we mentioned last time out, we've got a pretty friendly run to start, although we have been drawn away at today's opponents in the Carabao Cup too. That maybe does ruin our chances of a cup run this season. But if you're looking forward to that and seeing what players we've brought into the team with our limited transfer budget available at the start, then please do put a thumbs up on the video and subscribe down below for daily FM22 content. We're back with Viborg tomorrow as this save rotates every other day. And make sure you check out our FM23 videos. They're up in the eye above as well. There's links down in the description for ways to support the channel and links to all the other platforms. But let's get straight in to transfer news at Brighton and Hove Albion. One big player out, 2 or 3 players coming in, and we're starting to look like a pretty balanced squad for the tactic we want to play. So if you didn't see part 1 and last time on what we were planning to play and meeting all the players, etc., you can find that in the eye above. But let's go straight to the transfer news, because there's a transfer offer made for a keeper that we're not going to fulfill. The director of football getting a bit happy there. But let's get to the transfer history, because in the outs, we have one new name if we get down to the bottom. Few loan players went out. We knew that was going to happen. Sarmiento among them. Looking further down, Matt Everett, who we had in a head coach at Dover earlier this year, just to pick out a name from another save. And Tudor Baluta, who was in the first team squad. He's gone down to the Championship to play at West Brom. But the big one, if we take out the little youngsters that have gone for nominal fees, is Shane Duffy, who has returned to Celtic, this time on a permanent deal. Not sure that would have happened in real life after his loan spell. £4.6 million we got for him, but most importantly, 45 odd grand off the wage bill. That is absolutely pivotal. He's a good player, he's been a good servant for Brighton, but he wasn't right for our tactic and the way we were going to play. So to replace him, we've spent money on 2 centre-halves and 1 fullback, because we mentioned we didn't have any support for Tariq Lamptey. So let's get the fullback out the way first. He came in on the same day as the first centre-half. It was the transfer listed Ryan Fredericks from West Ham United. £3 million we paid for him. He's alright, he's 28, he's solid, he's on a modest wage. And as a squad player, I feel like someone who's natural at right back and crucially natural at right wing back too. Gives us a real benefit in terms of squad depth. So Fredericks, he comes in to support Lamptey and gives us another option in that right wing position. The 2 centre-halves in though were really interesting ones, because the first player that actually came up in our scout report all year at this club is Chris Mepham from Bournemouth. £4.5 million up front with another million subject to 50 league appearances. He is a really solid player. Still only 23. For many years, became an absolute superstar in this game. Now his potential's a bit more limited, a 3.5 star. But he's natural on the ball, he can play out from the back, and bar his agility, he's not too bad as a defender whatsoever. He can play naturally off both sides, he's a good footballer with 2 feet, and he's got a great personality. He is my type of player. And although he's suspended for the first game of the season, he's a man who's going to be a good part of this squad. So considering we were lacking depth at centre-half, to get a homegrown in a UK player for £4.5 million and on 20 grand a week, who's an active international as well, by the way, we cannot complain. Good signing that. And he was backed up later on by a director of football edition. Andrea Carboni came in from Cagliari. Now, he's not a player I was hugely familiar with. I'd seen him the odd time before on TV. But a player who for £7.5 million at 20 years of age looks like a real prospect. He's a 3-star centre-half who can also play at left-back, can play a little bit of left wing-back too. But crucially, he's got 4.5-star potential. Now, everything else is fine. He's okay on the ball. He's got all the core attributes. He's good positionally, which is crucial to me. He's 6'1", and although he's got a little knock at the moment, he is someone who I think is going to be a pivotal part of our plans moving forward. Particularly when you look at our starting back 3 at the moment and the players that we've got out on loan. There's a little bit more age in there. There's a little bit of physicality lacking. You've got Veltman at 29, Dunk at 29, Webster's a little bit younger, but maybe not the most balanced player and doesn't have the best injury record. So looking at that at the moment, I think it's a really good signing. With Carboni, with Mepham, and with the youngster Hayden Roberts, we've got our 3 backup centre-halves. We've got the balance to the squad we needed, and I think we're ready for the Premier League season. So let's go and have a look at what our signings have done to the pre-season preview. Expected 16th when we took over the club, as Liverpool have battered United on the opening day. What is the difference now? We are expected 14th place. We've jumped above today's opponent Southampton and above Crystal Palace too. We're then expected above Burnley, our second opponents in the league, and the 3 promoted clubs. So if we do lose these 2 games today, we're going to be in a spot of bother really, because Southampton and Burnley are 2 of the sides expected below us. Let's have a look at the schedule to see what's been happening in pre-season. We are unbeaten. We haven't let in many goals, but it's been a normal Brighton problem. We've struggled to score a few in most of the games against relatively decent opposition, and we've not really played a top side. But when we've come up against League One or Championship standard teams, we've struggled to put them away. It is a big concern. But let's go straight into the first game with a lunchtime kickoff. We're on TV and we're heading to Southampton. The first of 2 games against them in 10 days due to the Carabao Cup is a sellout of St Mary's. They've got a really good side. But what team are we going to put out in our new look formation? I'm trying the back 3, everyone. It's going to go wrong, isn't it? And here is the team and squad we've selected, which due to injuries is basically forced. We've only got 20 players available. They're all in the squad. Evan Ferguson, one of the youngsters amongst the substitutes. But Caicedo and Carboni aren't far away. And Welbeck maybe, 3 or 4 weeks until he's up to full scratch. The team itself is relatively solid. As you would expect with Brighton, there's not many standout stars. The 2 best rated players are still Cucurella and Basuma, the 2 that left in real life in the summer. And when you look at the rest of the team, it's an average Premiership team, which means for the most part, we're going to be struggling to get draws and maybe just looking for that goal threat. But based on pre-season, I'm a little worried because we have struggled for goals against decent sides. I'm trying to play a higher line. I'm trying to play the Brighton way. I'm trying to play with underlapping wing-backs, with big, high, aggressive pressing, but also with shorter passing, very narrow, and with a lower tempo when we're in possession too. So whether that works out or not, we're yet to go and see. But this is the 11 I've selected for my first game. It's Robert Sanchez between the sticks, a back 3 of a wide centre-half in Veltman, a ball-playing defender in Dunk, and another one in Webster to his left. Cucurella and Lamptey are supporting wing-backs with Basuma alongside deep-line playmaker Lallana. We're going to give Basuma the licence to go box-to-box, and he will support Alexis McAllister, Leandro Trossard, and Neil Maupay as our front 3. So hopefully in attack we can provide enough. We might adapt this as we go on. Those that have followed the channel for a long time know I hate a back 3. I really struggle to get the tactic working in FM, but today we give it a go. We play the best tactic for the club we're at. There's no change here. Off to Southampton. Let me know in the comments what you think of the signings. And more importantly, what do you think the score will be? We'll see who's right at the end. No cheating. Well, a largely expected side for Southampton, I'd say. Ralph has got the likes of Brozier up front with Shea Adams. Ward-Prowse is going to be a huge threat from set pieces, we know. And young Livramento flying at right back. But overall, it is a team we can compete with. And it's very similarly matched on paper. So it's going to be a battle of the tactics. It's going to be a battle of the strikers for scoring form. And I'm not sure Neil Maupay comes out on top. So without showing faith, let's go and get into the first half. And just hope we can find a win. Wouldn't mind a sneaky 1-0. Wouldn't mind taking advantage of set pieces. What I'm really intrigued by here, as we get back with Trossard playing a through ball to Maupay, this could be a dream start. But again, that lacking cutting edge is showing for Brighton. Maupay straight at Forster. And it's downfield to Brozier, who's got the legs on the front 3, or the back 3 for us, sorry. Brozier's cross is blocked. It's behind for a corner kick. And it's an interesting end-to-end start. One big chance at both ends. And Ward-Prowse has got the corner to the front post to Bednarek. And it leads to the point I was going to say. I love taking advantage of set pieces, setting up those routines. But we haven't got a big team here. We've got a really short side. Bar the 3 centre-halves, Cucurella's not terrible in the air. But even the striker's not great without Welbeck in. So it is an issue for us. As Dunk plays into McAllister. As we've seen before, we're playing some lovely football. I imagine it's going to be very realistic with Brighton here. Great football, lack of cutting edge, maybe just missing a striker. And it leads to something else in the transfer window as Cucurella on the left wing, chance to deliver from the byline. Moore pays up, heads it just over. The thing that frustrates me in the transfer window is we were linked with Karim Adeyemi. Now, he's only about 15 million quid at the start of the game, and we know how good he becomes from Salzburg. The scouts found him, I didn't go looking. If we could get him in, it would change the save. But we've got no transfer budget left, and I can't get him in without selling someone who's a good part of the squad. There's going to be an interesting end to the window that. We're 5 to half time, this game's gone exactly as we expect. 2 compact defences, only a couple of shots on target, and it's 0-0. The least surprising fact of the day. Let's get through the dressing room. We're going to tell the lads to do the best they can. But to be fair to them, they're giving it their all. We've got the goalkeeper demotivated. Not sure why Robert Sanchez is like that, so let's give him a bit of chat. You've got the ability to make a difference. Couldn't care less, could he? And 10 minutes have passed in the second half as we're back for a Fraser Forster goal kick. Long downfield. It's missed by Lewis Dunk. It's a terrible mistake. Che Adams is in. It's a great save by Sanchez in fairness. Lewis Dunk cannot afford to make those types of errors. Still got a 7.2. I'm not sure how. As Ward-Prowse delivers, Diallo's up. Webster does really well. Trossard brings it away. Now we're on the counter. Maybe our best chance of scoring. Livramento does really well, and we're lacking the width there, so Armstrong can get to it first. Forces back to Diallo and Livramento. Going to be a lot of 0-0s and 1-1s this season. Gineppo's on for Redmond on the left for them, as Morpay picks it up on halfway. It's just a little disjointed in attack at the moment, as Gineppo down the left. Chased by Lamptey, forced back to Walker-Peters and Salisu. Into Ward-Prowse and Adams and Brozier. It's good football. Gineppo must be offside. Sanchez saves it anyway. How has the flag not gone up there? Morpay can bring it away, but he's isolated. Despite the attacking number 10s, he does seem a little isolated on that wing. We've got 20 odd minutes to go. I'm going to think about some changes. Let's see what we can do to help the attack, because Morpay isn't happy. I'm going to bring on... Oh, what are we doing here? Trossard's going to come off. I know that for Gross. Gross is the set-piece specialist in the team. He's also a very good finisher, but so's McAllister, so I am going to switch them round. Looking further back, Cucurella's had an average game. So's Webster, but I don't want to make more yet. So we're going to leave it another 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll probably judge it on fitness more than anything. Right then, let's take some of these poorer performers off. Lallana is going to be one of them. He will be replaced by Jacob Murder in a holding role. McAllister is absolutely shattered. He'll be replaced by Steven Alzate as Morpay gets it to Bazuma. Back to Lallana. To Basuma again. He gives it to Gross. I'd love a nicked 1-0. Come on, Lallana to McAllister. Morpay's in support, but he goes wide to Lamptey on the right. Cross to the back post. McAllister's there. On the volley, it's a good save from Forster. Almost signed off in style there, Alexis McAllister. But it stays 0-0. There's 10 to go. Neither team's really done enough to win it. We've dominated possession. We've not created much. And this game has gone exactly as I expected. At least we're solid at the back. At least we've kept a clean sheet. The back six were magnificent, but 0-0 is the score. Can we find an attacking threat at home to Burnley? In every experiment we've done since the January update, Wout Weghorst has been the top Premier League scorer. Hopefully Dunk, Webster and Veltman between them can keep him quiet at the Amex. Time for match day 2 of the Premier League season. We've got a few players slowly returning to fitness, but not quite there just yet. So let's get through to the fixture list. Our home to Burnley, it probably has to be a win if we want to be staying up comfortably this year. So let's go and see what team we can pick today. I'd imagine it'll be quite similar, and whether we can get that all-important result. We've got a sellout at the Amex. Let's see what team's available. Everyone's fit, just Trossard and McAllister struggling a little bit. Mepham is back from suspension. He'll be on the bench instead of Roberts. We've got Carboni and Caicedo getting closer. Caicedo will replace Mwepu on the bench today. So let's go and get into it. Our big home debut with Brighton and Hove Albion. Here we go. It's a very similar team, but will it produce a similar result? Well, it's an unchanged side for this week as we get the much awaited warning about Wout Weghorst. Off the pitch, I'm doing everything I can to sign Adeyemi. I'm trying to do workarounds with players to exchange or even with instalments and future things that might end up costing us more. but for the short term will get us the player we need. It's 2 changes for Burnley's side. Sean Dyche, of course, in charge in this universe. So it's asked the lads to impress us, which apparently has demotivated Marc Cucurella. Through the tunnel interview we go. The lads still don't support us, but they need to get a result here. Let's do it for the fans. I can see Cristiano Ronaldo is at his best getting 2 against Chelsea to win Manchester United that game, as we are back with Burnley on the attack early doors. Taylor carrying the ball over halfway. Basuma does well. Wins it back twice in a row after Veltman lost it again. Here's Basuma for a 3rd time. Carries it over halfway. Has support down the right in Lamptey. Decides to go alone. Now cuts it back. Lamptey then gives it to Veltman. Not really looking for that cutting edge ball. Basuma finds Trossard though. He's through to Maupay. And as always, the one that's offside is of course the one that's finished perfectly into the corner. Hit the one straight at the keeper when you're on. And then when you're offside, of course, you just finish perfectly. Goal disallowed as we expected. 4 gone, we get in behind, but it's still 0-0. Similar pattern. Though we're back with the corner straight away. McAllister to the back post. Weghorst doing his work in his own box this time. Gives it wide to Trossard on the left-hand side. And he finds Lallana. Short to Webster. Be interesting to see how long Lallana can stay fit, and Webster for that matter. As Trossard to McAllister, through to Maupay again. And he's finished it well again. I'm pretty sure he's offside. This is going to be infuriating, isn't it? Because the one that he's going to be on, you can just tell he's going to miss. Goal disallowed, 2 in 8 minutes. Oh, we need Adeyemi. And as we approach the last 5 minutes of the first half, we've not yet had a shot on target. And to be honest, bar those 2 offside goals, we've not really had a threat. And this is the issue again with Brighton. It's lovely to watch. We're playing some really good stuff and we are generally dominating the possession. But we are not finding a way in behind. Cucurella's now complacent. Trossard's demotivated. And the goal threat is just absent. There are some real worries here. I want to go a bit more positive, but I know that will affect us defensively. I feel like we have to try it at this point though. So at the hour mark, we're going to look at some changes. Lallana struggling, Trossard struggling. And we're back with a highlight. So the subs will have to wait a minute. Maupay pressing high. Does really well there to win it back for Trossard. Short to McAllister. Support from Lamptey on the right. Instead goes back to Basuma. Lallana finds Trossard. One of those that would be coming off in a minute. To Maupay. McAllister. Lovely triangles, but where's the cutting edge? Basuma through to Maupay. He's on this time. And of course he does. Of course he puts it wide because he was onside. And now it's a Burnley corner. We know what's coming. McNeil in. Weghorst up. Just over the bar. Oh, it perfectly sums up this year's FM. Let's go and make changes. I'm going to take Trossard off for Gruss. We'll put McAllister to the other side as we did last game. Cucurella struggling as is Lallana. I'm going to bring on Moise Caicedo, I think. And I know that's a bit of a risk. Or no, Jacob Murder. Which one's the better player here? Murder's better in the box-to-box role. I feel like Caicedo would be better as the playmaker. Let's get the youngster back in. We've got Lamptey on the yellow on the right, something we've got to be careful of. And we're also struggling with Maupay up front. So I'll leave it 10 more, then we'll decide the final sub. 10 minutes to go. The sub choices are Fredericks or Young Ferguson. I feel like I've got to leave a senior striker on in Maupay. So I'm going to bring Fredericks on for Lamptey. Bit more height at the back post from the threat of Weghorst. But I feel like we're going to have a very Brighton season here. It's 0-0. Despite going positive, we've not managed to really dominate the game. The expected goal suggests we should have scored, but we haven't. And as it finishes, it's back-to-back 0-0s. It's big concerns. And we really need to find a way of getting that Adeyemi deal over the line, even if it means maybe selling Maupay, who's not a big goal-scoring threat. Because 0-0 is another disappointing day. I think we might have a pretty boring season here. We're going to have to find some wins eventually. Let's go and see when we're going to be back. So after 2 blanks, we look ahead to the schedule. And I think we have to come back for the first massive test of the season. Because while we're drawing all of these games, I want to know if we can compete with the best. So we will show the home game against Manchester City before the October international break. And we'll also show the Watford game just before it, or a League Cup tie if we get there, depending on what happens. But that's the plan for next time. Hopefully we will have Karim Adeyemi added to our ranks by then, because we need goals and we need to find a way to get them quick. Maybe Welbeck can help with that too. If you did enjoy this episode though and meeting the new signings, please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know in the comments what you think about our lack of goal threat, or in contrast, our superb defensive acumen. Do you think we'll get enough wins to stay up? or are we ultimately going to be in trouble without goal scorers? If you want to stay up to date and find out as the season progresses, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. There's daily FM22 videos from 2 long-term stories, as well as our top 3s every Sunday, which will be focusing on FM23. I'll be announcing my plans and series soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But above my head now is Sunday's top 3, where we focused on the top fallen giant challenges from European clubs for FM23. Give that a try, and I'll see you here next time.